A contains the provisions relating to maintenance of books of accounts by certain persons who are carrying on business and profession. So fundamentally for those specified professions, if their gross receipts exceed rupees 1,50,000 in all the three immediately preceding previous years, then they will be required to maintain, say, specified books of accounts. And in case of a newly set up profession, if their gross receipts are likely to exceed rupees 1,50,000 during the current year, then they are required to maintain a specified set of books of accounts. In case of other business or profession, other than specified business or profession, if the income from business or profession exceeds rupees 1,20,000 or the total sales turnover or gross receipts exceeds rupees 10 lakhs. So income exceeds exceeds rupees 1,20,000 and the total sales turnover or gross receipts exceeds rupees 10 lakhs, then they will be required to maintain such books of accounts as would enable the assessing officer to compute the income therefrom. In case of individual and Hindu undivided family, instead of rupees 1,20,000, the income is rupees 2,50,000, and in case of its turnover is what? Rupees 25 lakhs in case of individuals and HUF. And this turnover either exceeds in any of the three previous years immediately preceding the previous year, and income exceeds rupees 2,50,000 basically in case of individual or HUF in any three previous years, in any of the three previous years immediately preceding the previous year. Then they will be required to maintain such books of accounts as would enable the assessing officer to compute the income therefrom. In case of assessees which are falling under section 44 AE, 44 BB and 44 triple B, those who are going for presumptive basis taxation, and in a case if their income, they claim the income lower than deemed income, then they will be required to maintain the books of accounts. Similarly, if the provisions of section 44 AD are applicable and the concerned person claims his income lower than deemed income, then in that year as well as in the subsequent 5 years, he cannot again go for provisions of 44 AD. He will be required to maintain, say, books of accounts as would enable the assessing officer to compute the income therefrom. Then 44 AB contains the provisions relating to audit of accounts of certain persons carrying on business or profession. Section 44 AB, it is containing the provisions relating to tax audit. Basically, it is tax audit. So here, in case of a business, if the total sales, turnover or gross receipts, it exceeds rupees 1 crore in any previous year, then in that previous year, he will have to get his accounts audited. However, in case of a person whose aggregate of all the amount received, including amount received for sales, turnover or gross receipts during the previous year in cash, does not exceed 5% of the said amount. So whatever amount has been received, whatever total amount has been received, and if cash element does not exceed what? 5% of the said amount, or aggregate of all the payments made, including the amount of expenditure which has been incurred in cash during the previous year, does not exceed 5% of the said payments. So whatever aggregate payments, both on the receipt side and on the payment side, you have to see if the aggregate of the payments which have been made and how much cash payments have been made. It does not exceed, cash payment does not exceed what? 5% of the aggregate payments were made during the year. Then in that particular circumstance, tax audit will be required only when your total sales, turnover or gross receipts exceeds rupees what? 5 crores. When your total sales, turnover or gross receipt exceeds 5 crores. So this you remember. In case of profession, the professional will be required to get his books of accounts audited in case his gross receipts exceed rupees 50 lakhs in any previous year. And in case of profits and gains from business are deemed under section 44 AE, 44 BB, 44 BBB. If the profits and gains from business are deemed under 44 AE, 44 BB or 44 triple B, and he has claimed his income lower than the profits and gains so deemed in any previous year. He claims his income lower than the deemed income, or he is going for the provisions of section 44 ADA. Then he claims his income, profits and gains lower than the deemed profits and gains, and his income exceeds maximum amount not chargeable to tax. Besides this, under 44AD, presumptive basis taxation, if he claims his income lower than the deemed income and his income exceeds what? Maximum amount not chargeable to tax, then he will have to get his accounts audited on or before the specified date. The report of the accountant is required to be furnished. Now, what specified date means? Here, specified date in relation to accounts of the assessee of the previous year relevant to assessment year means the date 1 month prior to the due date of what? Furnishing the return of income. Specified date means what? The date 1 month prior to the due date of furnishing the return. So remember the provisions of section 44AB, tax audit is important. In case you do not get your accounts audited, then you will be liable to a penalty that is 0.5% of turnover or rupees 1 lakh, whichever say less. So penalty provisions are also there if you do not get your books of accounts say audited. If you do not maintain books of accounts, then penalty will be levied of rupees 25,000. So here penalty is 0.5% of turnover or 1,50,000 say, which is less under 44AB. Now we are going to presumptive basis taxation, that is section 44AD. Section 44AD is dealing with the provisions relating to presumptive basis taxation, that is special provisions for computing profits and gains of business on presumptive basis. So basically the provisions of section 44AD, they are applicable to an individual, Hindu undivided family, a partnership firm, excluding LLP, who is resident basically, and who has not claimed any deduction under section 10AA, who has not claimed any deduction under section 10AA, or 80 IA to 80 RRB, he is engaged in any business except the business of say plying, hiring or leasing goods carriages, because for those resident individuals or those persons who are engaged in the business of plying, hiring and leasing goods carriages, provisions of section 44AE is applicable. Provisions of section 44AE is applicable for those persons who are engaged in the business of plying, hiring or leasing goods carriages. And here AD is applicable in case whose total turnover or gross receipts in the previous year does not exceed rupees 2 crores. So if this total sales or say turnover or gross receipts in the previous year does not exceed rupees 2 crores, then he can opt for the provisions of section 44AD. He must be engaged in any eligible business. Now basically how much the deemed income will be, deemed profits and gains will be here 8% of the gross receipts or total turnover in case if the amount has been received otherwise than through what? Account pay check, account pay bank draft, electronic clearing system or other electronic mode as may be prescribed, or 6% of the total turnover or gross receipts if the same has been received through account pay check, account pay bank draft, use of electronic clearing system or other electronic prescribed modes. So 8% of the total turnover or 6% of the turnover shall be the deemed profits and gains of business and profession. The provisions of 44AD are not applicable for those professionals who are referred under 44AD, A44AA basically, that is legal, medical, engineering profession, profession of accountancy, technical consultancy, interior decorator, film artist, authorized representatives. For those persons, this AD provisions will not be applicable. Or person who is earning income in the nature of commission or brokerage, the person who is earning income in the nature of commission or brokerage, or the person who is carrying on the agency business, or the person who is carrying on what? The agency business. Now fundamentally, here, when he opts for the provisions of section 44AD in any particular previous year, then the provisions of this section will be applicable for subsequent 5 years. For 5 subsequent years, the provisions of this section will be applicable. Okay. So where an eligible assessee declares profits from any previous year in accordance with the provisions of this section, he shall declare the profits for any 5 subsequent years, that is subsequent to the assessment year, relevant to the previous year, and profits has been declared at rate of say 8 or 6%. And in case he goes out of this, say in 2 years he has declared the profits as per 44 AD, and now in the third year he wants to claim his income lower than this, then in that particular circumstance, for further 5 years, he cannot go for the provisions of section 44 AD. Okay, when we claim our income, deemed income, then all the deductions under section 30 to 38 shall be deemed to have been allowed. Deductions under section 30 to 38 shall be deemed to have been allowed. Then the WDV of the assets will be calculated as if the assessee has claimed and has been allowed depreciation. And in case the assessee claims his profits and gains lower than these deemed profits, then he will have to maintain the books of accounts and he will have to get them audited. And here, if we go for provisions of 44 AD, then advance tax provisions will be applicable, and 100% of the advance tax is to be paid in one installment, that is up to 15th March of the relevant year. So this is a presumptive basis taxation. If you declare your income either this or higher income, then in that particular circumstance, you are not required to maintain books of accounts. You are not required to get them, say, audited. Okay, so that is 44 AD. Now 44 ADA is what the special provisions for computing profits and gains of profession. It is the profession, specified professions. Those specified professions which are covered under 44 AA, for those specified professions, assessee can opt for the provisions of section 44 ADA. 44 ADA basically is applicable to a resident and assessee being a resident in India. Assessee is resident in India and he is carrying on specified professions such as legal, medical, engineering profession, architectural profession, profession of accountancy, technical consultancy, interior decorator, film artist, authorized representative, and whose total gross receipts does not exceed rupees 50 lakhs in the previous year. Whose total gross receipts does not exceed rupees 50 lakhs in the previous year. Now what is deemed profits and gains will be 50% of the gross receipts. Deemed profits and gains will be what? 50% of the gross receipts. No further deduction under section 30 to 38 shall be allowed from such income. WDV of the asset shall be calculated as if the assessee has claimed and has been actually allowed depreciation, and the provisions relating to payment of advance tax shall apply. In this particular circumstance, he has to pay only one installment of advance tax, and that is 100% of the tax up to 15th of March of the relevant financial year. Accounts, they are required to be maintained and audited if assessee claims his profits lower than what? The deemed profits. Then in that particular circumstance, he will have to maintain the accounts and get them audited, provided his total income exceeds what? Maximum amount not chargeable to tax. Then 44 AE is what? For the special provisions for computing profits and gains of business of plying, hiring or leasing goods carriages. Eligible assessees, any assessee is eligible here who owns not more than 10 goods carriages. Who owns what? Not more than 10 goods carriages at any time during the previous year. He must not own more than 10 goods carriages at any time during the previous year, and is engaged in the business of plying, hiring or leasing such goods carriages. He is engaged in the business of plying, hiring or leasing goods carriages. Now what are the deemed profits and gains? In case of a vehicle other than heavy good vehicle, the deemed profits and gains will be 7,500 per month. 7,500 per month per vehicle. Okay, and or the actual sum, higher sum if the same has been earned. And in case if a goods carriage is a heavy good vehicle, then in that particular circumstance, it is 1,000 per ton of gross weight of vehicle or unladen weight, as the case may be, per month per vehicle, into what number of months, you know, that vehicle has been plied, ownership has been there, and or the amount actually earned, which is higher. These will be what? The deemed profits and gains. And heavy good vehicle basically means what? A goods carriage, the gross weight of vehicle which exceeds what? 12,000 kilogram. That is a heavy good vehicle. And rest provisions are same. Deductions under 30 to 38 deemed to be allowed. Then WDV of the asset shall be calculated as if the assessee has claimed and has been actually allowed depreciation. And lower profits, if you claim your income lower, then you will have to maintain the books of accounts and get them audited. So that is 44A. Then 44DB. 44DB is containing the special provisions for deduction in case of business reorganization of cooperative banks. So here, in case of business reorganization means what? Either amalgamation or demerger of cooperative banks. It is amalgamation or demerger of cooperative banks. Then in this particular case, the deductions under section 32, that is depreciation, 35D, preliminary expenses amortization, double D, that is amalgamation and demerger expenses, or DDA, that is VRS expenditure. The same will be apportioned between the predecessor bank and the successor bank in the ratio of number of days. The same will be apportioned between the predecessor bank and the successor bank in the ratio of number of days. So prior to the amalgamation or demerger and subsequent to the amalgamation or demerger. That has been provided in 44DB. So these were the provisions relating to what? Computation of profits and gains of business and profession, which we have discussed. One more topic we'll be discussing is about the agricultural income. Say agricultural income is exempt under section 10.1. Section 10.1 exempts what? The agricultural income. Section 2.1a defines agricultural income. Here agricultural income means what? Any rent or revenue derived from land which is situated in India. Number one is rent or revenue derived from land which is situated in India, and the same is used for agricultural purposes. That will be regarded as what? Agricultural income. Whatever rent or whatever revenue has been derived in form of, say, crops, etc. Then income derived from agricultural land. If any income has been derived from agricultural land by agricultural operations, processes ordinarily employed to render the produce fit to be taken to the market, or say if sale of the agricultural produce. So it's income which has been derived from agricultural land by agricultural operations, processes ordinarily employed to render the produce raised fit to be taken to the market, or sale of agricultural produce in market. The income will be regarded as agricultural income. In case if there is any surplus from transfer of urban agricultural land, if there is any surplus from transfer of urban agricultural land, then that surplus will not be regarded as what? Agricultural income, and capital gains will be chargeable to tax. Therefore, we will see in in capital gains chapter, if you transfer any urban agricultural land and you purchase another agricultural land, you can get the benefit of exemption under section 54B. Then income from farm building, if the same is not used for agricultural purposes. If you have a farmhouse and farmhouse has been, say, let out, then in that particular circumstance, let out for non-agricultural purposes or used for other business, then the said will not be regarded as an agricultural income. Plant nursery, the same will be deemed to be what? Agricultural income. Income, say, from plant nursery, the same will be deemed to be agricultural income. Saplings or seedlings grown in a nursery, it is deemed to be an agricultural income. Now we come to what? The coffee, rubber and tea business. These are known as composite business. If the assessee is engaged in the business of growing and manufacturing, say, tea, coffee and rubber. In case the assessee is engaged in the business of growing and manufacturing tea, coffee and rubber, then in case of, say, income is derived from, say, sale of latex or Cenex or block rubbers manufactured or processed from rubber plants grown in by sellers in India. So when this is a compost, your rubber plants have been grown and then rubber has been extracted. In that case, 65% will be the agricultural income and 35% will be the business income. Then in case of tea, tea is grown and manufactured by sellers in India, 60% will be agricultural income, 40% will be the business income. Then coffee, which has been grown and cured by sellers in India, 75% will be the agricultural income, 25% will be the business income. Coffee grown, cured and roasted and grounded by sellers in India, 60% will be the agricultural income and 40% will be what? The business income. Then in case of any other business, whatever is the market value of agricultural produce, say if you are say growing sugar cane. So whatever the and they said that sugar cane is used for manufacturing sugar. So the whatever the market value of that sugar cane minus whatever the cost of cultivation, to that extent it will be agricultural income, and business income will be say sale of sugar minus market value of sugar cane and whatever is the cost of say manufacturing cost or expenses on processing. That will be regarded as say business income. So this way you have to remember these points. Then agriculture income, as we have said, that agriculture income is exempt from tax under section 10(1), but however for those slab based assessees, that is in case of say individual Hindu undivided family, AOP, BOI or artificial juridical person, in case if their agricultural income exceeds rupees 5,000 and non-agricultural income exceeds what? Maximum amount not chargeable to tax, there is a partial integration of the agricultural income for rate purposes. Now here how you will be calculating? You will be first of all calculating the net agricultural income, then we will be computing the tax on the agricultural income plus other income. We will be calculating tax on agricultural income plus other income. Then in the next step, we will be calculating tax on agricultural income plus basic exemption limit. And then we will be finding out the difference. We will be finding out the difference of tax at step 2 and 3. And then rebate will be allowed and it will be increased by HSE, and our answer will be what? This is the tax payable. So for example, if the assessee is engaged in business of growing and manufacturing tea, and here 10 lakh is the composite income. Here 6 lakh will be the agricultural income. 4 lakh will be what? The business income. This is agricultural. This is business. So here we will be calculating tax on 10 lakh rupees. That is agricultural income plus business income. Then we will be calculating tax on what? The agricultural income plus maximum amount not chargeable to tax. That is 6 lakhs is the agriculture income. 2,50,000 is the maximum amount not chargeable to tax. 850. Then we will be finding out the difference of the tax on 10 lakhs and 850. And then we will give the rebate and the balance will be the tax payable if any. So this way you have to calculate the tax on the agricultural income. So this was a topic relating to agricultural income. So all provisions relating to PGBP, they are important. We have discussed all the provisions. Section 28, that is profits and gains of business and profession. 29, profits and gains of business and profession, how computed. Then section 30, if you are using any building for the purpose of say business and profession, whatever rent, rates, taxes, repairs and insurance of building is paid, that is allowed as deduction. Then section 31 we have seen. Section 31 is dealing with the provisions relating to what? Repairs and insurance of plant and machinery. That will be allowed as deduction. Then we have seen 32, that is depreciation. That is very, very important. Section 32, depreciation, along with section 43.6, WDV, 43.1, actual cost. And then we are having unabsorbed depreciation, additional depreciation in that particular case. That's an important one. Then there are deductions on the basis of profits. That is what 32, basically 33AB, that is tea coffee and rubber development account. 333ABA, that is site restoration fund. Then we have discussed the provisions relating to section 35, that is expenditure on scientific research. 35ABB, that is on amortization of expenses on telecommunication licenses, and ABA was a spectrum amortization was there. Then we have discussed about 35 CCA, that is payments to rural development programs or National Urban Poverty Eradication Fund. And CCC is agricultural extension project, and CCD is skill development project incurred by company SSE other than land, and the expenditure will be what? Deductible. 35D was preliminary expenses, amortization of the same in 5 equal installments during the period of 5 years. 35DD was amalgamation and demerger expenses in 5 equal installments during the period of 5 years. DDA, VRS expenditure in 5 equal installments. 35E, that was amortization of expenses on prospecting, etc., of certain minerals, that was to be allowed in 10 equal installments. Then we have 36 dealing with the general deduction. other deductions, and 37 was dealing with the provisions relating to general deductions. Expenditures not specified under 30 to 36, not being capital, not being personal, incurred during the previous year will be allowed as deduction. CSR expenditure not deductible. Offense prohibited by law not deductible. Advertisement expenditure in magazine of political party, the same is not deductible. Then 40 is amounts not deductible, basically specific disallowances. If you make any payment without TDS or after TDS, the same has not been deposited on or before the due date. In case of payments outside India, whole of the expenditure to residents in India, 30% of such expenditure will be disallowed. 40A, that is expenses or payments not deductible in certain circumstances, payments to specified persons, payment in cash, provision for gratuity, provision for not non-statutory funds, mark to market losses, they are not deductible. Then 41 is profits chargeable to tax, that is recoveries against any deduction or say balancing charge, sale of scientific research assets without being used for business, then bad debts recovery, that is covered under 41. Then 42 is dealing with the special provisions for deduction in case of prospecting, etc. of mineral oil. Wasting allowance has been given, then we are having abortive exploration expenses allowance, the same is allowed as deduction. Then 43A is exchange rate fluctuations relating to capital assets. Adjustments will be made in the cost of the asset. 43AA is taxation of foreign exchange fluctuations. Okay. Then we have seen 43B, deduction on actual payment basis. Payment must be made on or before the due date of furnishing the return of income. Then it will be allowed in the previous year to which it relates. Otherwise, the same will be allowed in the year of payment. 43C, special provisions for cost computation of cost section in certain cases, in say case of amalgamation or say in case of gift or partition of HUF, where transactions are not regarded as transfer, the transferor's cost becomes a cost to the transferee. Then 43CA is for special provisions are there for full value of consideration in case of builders who are transferring land or building. SDV is regarded as full value of consideration if it exceeds 110% of the consideration. Then CB is dealing with computation of income in respect of construction contracts. 43D is what tax treatment of income on doubtful assets or loss assets of PFIs, SFCs, SIICs, banks, etc. Then 44 is insurance business. 44AA is containing the provisions relating to what deduction in case of trade, professional or similar association. Deficiencies are there, the same will be allowed as deduction to the extent of 50% of total income before allowing such deficiency. 44AA is maintenance of books of accounts. 44AB is audit of books of accounts. 44AD presumptive basis taxation, and if their turnover does not exceed 2 crores. 44AD is presumptive basis taxation for professionals if their gross receipt does not exceed rupees 50 lakhs, 50% of the same will be their deemed income. Then 44A, deemed profits under for those assessees not owning more than 10 goods carriages engaged in the business of plying, hiring or leasing goods carriages. Their income is 7,500 rupees per month per or part thereof per vehicle, or it is 1,000 rupees per ton or part thereof. Okay. Then we are having certain special provisions are there for NR taxation will be discussed by us in non-resident taxation, and 44DB special provisions for computing deduction in case of business reorganization of cooperative banks. And then we have discussed the this topic related to agricultural income. So this was all about what PGBP. It's a very, very important topic from examination point of view. Definitely 16 marks question at least comes from this particular topic.